Maybe 3 dimensions? Yeah, 3. Hi, row team. There's an I in every team. It's in the a-hole. Good morning, good morning. It is that time. So go ahead and slide your block over. We'll get started next to the wall. The measurement is 12 to 16 inches. Make sure the block is in its most foot-shaped position, and then you set your foot on top. Pinky toe is nowhere near the outside edge, so the block cannot flip. And then you get your arms behind your back, and we balance. Slow, deep breaths. reaching the head away from the floor. See if you can straighten the left leg a little bit more, and then exaggerate the twitchiness of your left foot. Now you keep your left leg straight. We're going to let the right leg sort of hang here. Notice that I can drop my right hip and then my right toes can touch the floor. I want you to make sure that this right hip is at least even with the left hip, maybe a little higher than the left foot. Use your wall as necessary, and we're going to slowly swing this right leg. Forward and back. As the leg, especially as it comes forward, I don't care how high the right leg gets. I want you to keep your left leg straight as the right leg reaches up. Very good. Right leg comes out straight in front of you. Again, you fight to straighten this left leg, arch on up, and then go ahead and bend the right knee, catch it with your hands. So the instant you've caught the leg with the hands, we talk about this, it's easy to sort of turn this into the opposite of what we're going for. We're trying to make this in some ways less efficient, so that you're actually doing the things you're not as good at. Everyone's good at this right here. This is called the slouch. And so the first part is you arch your chest up between your arms. And again, your arms are straight. So I'm not pulling the knee close. Arms are relaxed. I'm relaxing the knee into the hand. And then I press my hips back. And now shift the weight left to right. It's a very subtle movement. Can you straighten the left leg a little bit more? And then shift weight back into the heel, pick up your left toes. But I'm still somehow pressing the hips back. I'm still arching the chest up. And now shift weight forward, grip your toes into the block. And it burns, burns, burns like buns on fire. Your bun's on fire. Shift weight back, lighten the toes. You can do it. Shift weight forward, you grip your toes. Then you come back to neutral. Tick-tock your head. Oh, are you breathing? Head to neutral. One more breath. And then we step out of that. Yay. So wonderful. Walk around and shake your legs out. Maybe shake your hands out if you're really gripping. Roll your wrists. And now we flip the block for second side. So you'll now be standing on your right foot. Same idea. Make sure your other block is not within kicking distance. When we do that in a moment. Arms catch behind the back. And we start to wake up this right side. You feel the work you just did in the left leg is still somehow working even though you've completely stopped doing that. So as you're breathing, as we're getting connected to the work in the right leg, see if you can soften all the meat in the left hip. From an outsider, it doesn't look like much is happening. But you can feel there is so much work in this right foot. The hips. So you can feel it work from your head reaching away from the floor. And you feel the shoulders soften towards the ground. Alrighty, relax this left leg, wiggle the toes, roll the ankle. And now again, remember, we can let the left leg drop, the left hip drop. I want you to keep the left hip at least even, maybe higher, and we slowly swing this left leg. Noticing what is different about the work you're doing. It's the same thing, but it just feels so different. Maybe more work in this right hip. Here we go. And now the last one, you stop with the leg right in front of you, straighten the right leg, you press the hips back, arch on up, and then we bend the left knee, catch it. Woo, woo. Shoulders slide down, chest arches up between the arms, and you press your hips back. How much weight can you relax into the hands? Go ahead and TikTok your head. You have to really intensify the work in the right foot as you start moving your head around. And then you bring your head back to neutral. We shift weight back into the heel, pick up your toes. As you shift weight back, I'm not letting the hips come forward and the upper back's coming back. You're taking your hips back. And then you shift weight forward, grip your toes, right leg stays straight. And then you shift back. And forward. One more time, your hips come back. Everything is perfect in balance. Head over the shoulders, over the hips, over the foot. 2 more breaths. Woohoo! And then you sweetly step out of that. Shake your right leg out. And then slide your box over. Into their tallest dimension to start with. And then you can choose whether you keep them in their tallest dimension or not. Feet hip width apart. And look down at your feet for a moment. Feet are parallel. And now that the feet are parallel, we come all the way down to your squat. Now, the feet are parallel is not the only thing we care about. It's not specifically about the feet. It's more about, the first is about repeatability. How can we measure your practice over time? And to do that, we have to keep things consistent. So that's one piece of it. The most important thing is where your feet are pointing. What that tells us is where your knees are. And so we don't care about the feet by themselves, it's the feet relative to the knees. So if you make sure your feet are parallel, you can actually play around with this knee movement. And I want you to be real good at catching that. And the game is to get the knees on the outside of your feet. And it takes time and practice and paying attention. But it's a way to avoid a lot of issues that are down the line if you don't have that awareness in the feet. Or rather, the knees. One more breath. And you can catch your box, come all the way back into your forward bend, wiggle, wiggle. And now heel toe your feet. Your heels are going to be wider than the mat. The toes toes are going to be on the mat. Knees will stay soft in the beginning. We catch the blocks. You just, one more time, wiggle the hips. Notice how this is different than with your feet closer together. And now you keep the knees soft. The game is, can you get your hands on the floor on the other side of your blocks? Now the catch here is that your heels have to stay down. So if you can't quite keep your heels down, you walk the hands a little bit closer. You might even just keep your hands on the block. It's called self-preservation. Once you get your hands down, if your heels are still down, we get the shoulders away from the ears, and you walk your hands as far forward as you can without letting your heels come up. The second your heels come up, you stop. And now, with the chest arched up, you're draping your belly down towards the floor. I don't care that the knees are straight, but see if you can, without slouching, for the legs to be a little straighter. Imagine someone's pulling your tailbone towards the ceiling. Pick up your toes, crush the ball of the foot into the floor. Now you can give yourself a little wiggle. And then back to center you go. 2 more breaths. How relaxed can you let your hips be? Hamstrings, calves. We don't want too intense of a stretch in hamstrings. Just on the edges. Last breath. And you walk your hands back all the way onto the blocks. Wiggle the feet back to hip width apart. And then you wiggle your hips. Good morning, Michelle. Welcome. Alrighty. Now, we're going to come all the way down into our squat one more time. See if you can tell that it's different. Maybe close your eyes. We're reaching the hips back, so the idea is to eventually get your heels on the floor. If you're like me, you can't quite do that yet, not a problem. Why don't you see if you can feel the weight of your hips trying to pull yourself into a squat. Try to pick up your toes. And then we come back into our squat. You wiggle the left foot to be the top of a triangle. The blocks are the equidistant other sides. Left knee stays bent. We shift weight over to the left leg. You take the right leg back behind you. You can keep the toes slightly on the floor, just a light touch. And I really like this setup in the beginning because it helps us train this movement I was talking about earlier. So we want the knee to be on the outside of the foot, but you somehow keep the ball of the foot crushing into the floor. It's quite a complex movement. If you can't quite do that yet, or you have no idea what it is I'm talking about, again, your job is to breathe and feel your body. Why we're doing this class today is so you feel better when it's over. And so sometimes that requires not worrying about it, paying attention if there's any pain in your knees, and if there is pain in the knees, you back off. We definitely don't want to let this knee fall in. In case you don't know, the knee falling in with the foot out, that's how you tear your ACL. So now you start to lighten the weight on the back foot. See if you can pick the back leg up. And now with the back leg up, you reach this right foot away from the front of your mat, trying to make your right leg longer. Pick up the toes of your left foot, crush that left heel into the floor, press your knee out. See if you can raise that right hip up a little bit higher than the left hip now. Left leg should be shaken. Very good. Left knee, right where it is. We're going to bend the right knee, and you're going to, without touching the right foot on the floor, we're going to line the feet up next to one another. And then we're going to make your right foot turn into like a pigeon toe. So the right toes are going to turn to the left, the right heel reaches out, and then you'll walk the blocks to the left side of your foot. So towards the pinky toe side of the foot. Left foot stays in the exact same position, but we're pigeon toeing this right foot. And now lighten the weight that's on the blocks. See if you can imagine picking your hands up off the blocks. Very good. You can touch the toes down just for a moment. Line yourself back up to where we started. Take this right foot back. Left knee presses to the left. Very good. And now we walk the blocks over to the inside of the left foot. So this is the tricky one. This is where the knee really wants to fall in. So you have to fight for it. Once you get the blocks over to the right, you then press the left knee leftward, arch the chest up. Oh, fight for it. There we go. And then you lighten the right foot. Oh, see if you can pick that right foot up. And then we reach the right foot across the mat over to the left side. Weight in this left heel. One more breath. And then we walk blocks back to the center. Straighten the hips up. Right leg reaches up if you can. You arch up on the fingertips. Press that left knee even lefter for 3, 2, 1. See if you can balance up to standing. Yay! You may have needed support from the right leg. Either way, tick-tock your head. Oh, yeah. Very good. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And then you feel your legs. Feet hip width apart. You mosey on back to your blocks, then we come back into your squat. Once you're here, hands on the blocks, you close your eyes. Pouring your attention into how much more alive the left leg feels, how much more data you got. Left foot might feel warmer, left thigh might feel warmer. One more breath. And then as you exhale, open your eyes and we come into second side. So we wiggle the right foot to the center. Right knee is very bent. You press the right knee to the right and take the left leg back. Toes will touch in the beginning, like I said. Good morning, Eleanor. Now notice how much weight is in the hands. See if you can lighten the weight in the hands. We shift weight back to the right foot. Pick up your toes. And try to press that right knee even more to the right. Now if that's going well, you pick the left leg up. Arch up on the fingertips. See if you can lighten the weight on the hands. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then great, you set your hands down. Without touching the left foot down, we're going to line the feet up next to each other. And now the left heel is going to go to, we're going to turn the left foot to a pigeon toe. So the right toes are going to point to the left toes are going to point to the right. The left heel reaches away. And then we walk the blocks over towards the pinky toe side of this right foot. Belly presses down, right knee presses to the right. And now you see if you're going to reach the left heel forward a little bit. Lighten the weight that's on the block. See if you can pick your hands up. toes down, walk the blocks back to the center. We can take that left foot back, and now you bend the right knee, re-bend it, press the right knee to the right, and you walk the blocks towards the inside of this foot. And remember, here's our side, so the foot's parallel with the outside edge of your mat, but the thing we really care about is this knee, so you press the right knee out as you arch up, and then you start to lighten the weight that's on the back foot. And now see if you can slide this left foot across the mat over to the right, repressing the right knee outward. Lighten the weight that's on your hands so the hips are doing most of the work. If you do find there's a lot of weight on the blocks, just grip the block with your hands. Each inhale is expansive. If you paid for your oxygen, it would be expensive. And now you walk box back to the center. Reach this left leg up nice and high if you can. Keep pressing the right knee to the right. Don't let the leg straighten. Drop the hips. Can you reach this left heel away from the rest of your body as the right knee bends? One more breath. And then you balance up to standing. Tick-tock your head. Shake the right leg out. Maybe not at the same time. And then you walk around. Back to our squat. Feet hip width apart. Come on down. Rest the elbows on the thighs. And then take your hands, closing your eyes. Feel your hips. Feel the work in your feet. Feel yourself breathe. Now, if you can't quite do a full squat, you could just pick the hips up for our high quad burners. We usually do them. So you might look like this for your high squat. This might be plenty for you. We want to always challenge the range of motion for the knees. If you don't use this joint specifically, it gives us so many issues, it just gets worse. So we back off well before pain. And how you decide and how you figure out what's painful or not is in the beginning, you just back off way early. And as you notice that you aren't getting injured, then you can always try a little bit more. But we want to err on the side of caution with our knees especially. It's not worth getting injured. And then you have to start where you are today. It's like a year from now you'll be this good. So we want to always choose wisely. All right, here we go. Let's go up to your squat. I'll give you one little wiggle before we do our quad burners. Making sure that I don't want, even if you can straighten the legs in this position, I want you to keep the knees soft the entire time. Feel the belly reaching between the legs towards the floor. Shoulders are down. We're going to up and down as you come down. If you can keep the heels down, great. If your heels need to come up, you let them come up. Nice deep breaths. So if you have pretty good hip mobility, you can always turn the blocks to their next tallest dimension. Either way, you're arching the chest up, fighting for a natural curve in your back. Try not to bounce at the bottom. Last 5. Woohoo, last one. All the way back down to your squat. One more time. Take a few breaths. How relaxed can you let yourself be in the position you are not wanting to be in right now? You feel the tension dissipate. One more breath. And now for my favorite. This is probably the only time that I look forward to down dog on some level. But we're going to go ahead and get on down, dogs. So set your hands to the floor. You're going to line your feet up with your heels on the baseboards. Hands as wide as your mat. You enjoy having quadriceps shortened now. You need to walk yourself back a little bit as you wiggle. Try not to navel gaze or knee gaze. Perfect. Now the left heel reaches down. You pick the right foot up. Try to pick the toes up of your left foot. Trying to point the sternum between the hands without crunching the back of your neck. Now you grip with your fingertips. Lighten the weight that's on the back side of your palm. One more breath. And then we switch sides. Right heel reaches down. Bend the left knee, go ahead and pick it up. Try to pick up the toes of your right foot. We're trying to get the heel to the floor. If you can get the heel to the floor, yay you. If you can't, yay you. One more breath. Both feet down. Very good. Wiggle, just for good measure. Perfect. And then you come back to center. Feet hip width apart. Knees are slightly bent. Press knees apart. Back and forward we go for our tiny baby down dog push-ups. Now as you bring the shoulders forward, make sure they don't go beyond the wrists. And if you need to, instead of completely giving up, if you get tired in this position, you just set your knees down. And you'll notice as the shoulders come forward, for a lot of us, the elbows bend. So then I do a lot of the movement is coming from a different joint. I want this to come from your arms being straight. So see if you can, especially as you shift weight forward, fight to keep your arms straight. Maybe close your eyes. Three, two, one. Very good. Tailbone reaches up. Wiggle. Haven't given arms a break yet. Knees soften. You press the knees apart. See if you can bend the elbows now. Squeeze them together. Arch up. You can reach the hips up a little bit higher. Maybe the elbows come a little closer to the floor. Make sure you're not letting the elbows go chicken wing on you. Grip with your fingertips. Crush the index knuckle into the floor. 3, 2. Sweetly you set your knees down. Go ahead and point the toes. Sit back on the heels. Make a fist. You roll your wrists. Tuck the head. Palms face up. Shoulders stay down. You're going to take the hands to flat just in front of the knees so we can pick the hips up a little bit to do that. And then re-pull the shoulders down. We're draping the belly towards the floor. You sit back on the heels. And the game is to keep the palms down. If this is too intense for you, You take your hands on the outside of the knees, just like this. If it's not intense enough for you, take your hands further away from the knees. And now grip your fingertips into the floor. Tick-tock your head. Go ahead and turn your head left and right. And then you come back to center. Go ahead and shake your hands out. There you go. Make sure your hands still work. So I have made myself this little mat square. And I use it to pad things like my elbows or my knees. Right now we're going to use it to pad the top of the wrist. So this is for a lot of us, a very sensational stretch. Just know that if it is intense for you once you do it, it's intense. So we make a fist, and the thumbs go across the front of the fist, just like this. Elbows stay in, and then go ahead and try to touch your knuckles to your forearm, just like this. All right, so this is the position your forearms are going to be in a moment. So to get you there, we're going to straighten your arms. Knuckles come close to the knees. And just like we did before, we're going to shift weight forward, and as you shift weight forward, we roll onto the top of the hands. Now, even to get you here, this may have turned you into an early primate. So your job is to, don't worry about the elbows being straight now, you just get the shoulders down. It's okay if your elbows bend. The thing I want you to notice is what happened to your fist. And what happened to your thumb if you still have a fist? Is the thumb sticking up? Is the thumb thickening up? And then once you've got the shoulders down, you're arching the chest up, then you can start to play around with straightening the arms. And then you can start to play around with pointing your elbow pits towards the front of your mat. Still crushing the hands into the fist. Nice deep breaths. Even if your hand is just completely open and it just looks like it's electrocuted, you just keep fighting to make a fist. This all gets much better over time, but you got to give yourself a reason to get strong in these ways. And turns out this is helpful. Now, if that's going well for you, you can play around with sitting back on the heels. Hoo-wee. Arch up, arch up. Make sure the shoulders don't sneak on up to the ears. 2 more breaths. Last inhale. And then you try to sit back. Ha. Now, if you were worried about your hands working earlier, it takes a moment. They should feel broken. Especially if they feel broken, just give them a second, roll the wrists out. Wonderful. Now, hopefully you remember what your down dog felt like, because we're going to come back into down dog and see how your hands feel. So pinkies are off the edges of your mat. Walk the feet back. We're going to start to use the wall here in a moment. And go ahead and push up into down dog. And see if your hands feel different. There we go. So good. All right, perfect. Here we go. Right foot. You bend the right knee. Take your right foot about hip height on the wall, no higher. Go ahead and see if you can come into our down dog on the wall. Arch the chest up. Don't let the feet slide down. If your feet slide down, you can break your toes on the floor. And now go ahead and set the right foot down, the left foot down, and then we're going to do that again. So the right foot comes up, left foot comes up, right foot comes down, left foot comes down. There we go. That's the pattern. If you can't get both feet up, you just take the right foot up. You just might even lighten the weight of the left foot on the wall. So you lighten the left foot, just pushing the right foot into the wall, if that's what you need to do, or you might just stay in down dog. Last one. There we go. And now we do second side. Left foot comes up to about hip height on the wall. You're pushing through the hand, you're pushing through this left foot. Both feet come up. Arch the chest up. And then the left foot comes down, right foot comes down, and you repeat. Ooh, yay. Isn't it great to have arms? Again, if you can't quite pick up this right foot. You just are lightening the weight of the left foot. There we go. Last two. And one. Woohoo! Set the knees down. You caterpillar onto the belly. Into daily reading. Tick-tock your head. And now we walk the elbows over to the right. So we've shortened the right side of abdomen, we've lengthened the left side. Can you feel the pressure of your upper body trying to get to the floor through the arms? And now I want you to push the elbows down. The feeling is you're trying to slide the elbows to the shoulder blades towards the hips. One more breath. Now this left forearm, we're going to turn it to the right about 45 degrees and you're going to bend the right leg. Hello, right foot. You push down through this left elbow. Do not let the left shoulder come up. Keeping this pressure through the left elbow. You lean over, thumbs up catch. You catch the inside of the foot. You can catch the inside of the foot, yay! So you can get on top of the foot, maybe pushing the foot down towards the floor. Or maybe even just catching the foot in the elbow pit. But again, we're still pushing through this left elbow. Whichever one you end up choosing. Now can you press the right hip down? See if you can squeeze your right buns. Maybe lighten the weight of the right knee on the floor. Maybe picking it up. Maybe raising your eyebrows to help. Squeeze the right buns. 3, 2, and then no explosions. You sweetly let go of this right foot. Yay, walk the elbows back to the center. Let's go ahead and fold our hands in, rest your head down. Feel the difference in the two sides of your body. Nice deep inhales. Bend the knees, pick your feet up, and you tick-tock the shins. Rolling the pelvis on the floor as you tick-tock. And then you relax the legs down. Elbows slide on under. Take a moment to tick-tock the head. Get any tension out of the neck. And then we walk the elbows over to the left. Doop, 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 doop. Push down through the elbows. Now we are doing the opposite. We're lengthening the right side. See if you can feel any deeper stretches in this right side. This is the one for most of us. If you are right hand dominant, right side is going to be the tighter. Between left and right. Very good. One more breath. And then the right forearm is going to turn to the left. You bend the left knee. Say hello to your little foot. Hello, little foot. You push down through the right arm. Remember, we're keeping that right shoulder down. Thumbs up. You catch the inside of the foot if you can. And then you encourage the foot towards the hips as best as possible. If you can get on top of the foot, great. If you can catch the foot in the crook of your elbow, that's great. If you're just, you might even barely be able to catch this leg, pant leg. That's great. Your job is to just keep pushing through the right elbow. We're not trying to use hamstrings to pull the heel to the feet. We're trying to use the arm so you can keep the leg relaxed. But in the beginning, all this stuff is just hard to do. And it can feel like it's never getting better. And that could be true. But it also could be true that you're getting better. And the view of everything we do in this room is any little breath you take during the day, anything you do to encourage yourself to breathe, to be more upright, to feel your body, all that makes a difference. One more inhale. Wonderful. You slowly relax this left leg. Walk the elbows back to the center. Hands as wide as your mat. Straighten the arms. We come into cobra. Relax your pelvis to the floor. Relax your belly to the floor, as the arms are pushing the upper body away from the floor. Close your eyes. And you can stay right here. Right, you set your elbows down, you take your hands back another hand length. So we've deepened your back bend. Same idea, we're trying to slide shoulder blades away from the ears. One more breath. And you go ahead and set your elbows down. Try to keep your head basically where it is, but we slide the hands low on the floor, close to the pelvis. The closer your hands are to where your shoulders are, the more issues we can get with the shoulders, the more danger your shoulders are in. So we just set the hands back. That makes the stuff a little bit more challenging in the beginning, but in the long run, it's so much safer for your shoulders. So your job is to keep the shoulders down. Even if you can't straighten your arms completely, it's okay. There's no way for you to be other than how you are. So the first part of the movement is strictly back. So I'm just using my back for this. I'm not using my head. I'm using the back. And then I keep using the back, but I add the arms for an up dog. And we do our little twisties, alligators, looking over the right shoulder and then over the left shoulder. Very good. Then come back to center. Roll back onto the belly. Oh, hands stay right where they are. First half, just the back. Then you finish with the arms. That's 2. We're going to do 8 more. Every time you push up, you keep the shoulders down. It's one of my favorite push-ups that we do. If you don't know this about me, I used to be a trainer. That's what I spent most of my adult life doing. And once I started studying the yoga better practice, last one, keep the upper body up, I soon learned that push-ups and your shoulders don't go very well together. Now see if you squeeze your buns together. Try to get your hips closer to the floor as you push down through the hands. 3, 2, and now instead of rolling back onto your belly, you're going to push all the way back onto hands and knees. Move your hips. And when I say push-ups and your shoulders don't go well together, I'm specifically talking about the traditional sense. And there are other kinds of push-ups you can do, like what we just did, our up dog push-ups, that are measurably safer for your shoulders, and they help to create function as opposed to tightening and shortening the stuff that's already short from slouching. Now I'm going to have you sort of side saddle here. You're going to sit onto your left hip. We're going to come into our twist. So I want this, if you have a frontage of the mat, this left hip is going to be parallel with it. And then we're going to slide the shin away from the midline. So now you have your left thighs parallel with the front of your edge, and the left shin is parallel with the right side of your mat. And then you take this right leg back. Walk the elbows all the way down to the floor. Take a couple breaths here. Hopefully your blocks aren't too far away, because we're going to get them in a second. And then you're going to slide one of your blocks over. Here. And you're going to put it underneath your left knee. And then you walk your elbows over to the left. Isn't that interesting? Now take a deep breath. And sort of, you can. And that is the edge I care about. So even though you may not be getting many more oxygen molecules into your lungs, you fight for it. You keep the throat open. And then you exhale like a sigh. Normal inhale. And then you exhale. Empty the lungs. Keep emptying the lungs. Even more. Exhale a little bit more. And then slowly we'll breathe together. You start to inhale. Keep inhaling. Throat open. And you exhale. Keep exhaling. Empty your lungs. Exhale a little bit more. Even more, even more. And then slowly inhale. Keep inhaling. And you exhale. You go ahead and breathe on your own. Technically, you did all that breathing on your own. But I digress. And you slide your hands under shoulders. I'm going to walk the arms around for second side. You bring a block with you. Feet as wide as your mat. Take your arms behind, far enough away that you can really fight to arch the chest up, and then you tick-tock the knees a couple times. Woo! And then the knees, the next time they get to the right, you drop them on over, you keep them there, take the elbows down. And now we pick up the right knee, slide the block underneath, walk the elbows a little bit further over to the right. And you might find that you can't get the left elbow down. If you breathe like we did together, if you inhale like that, you'll find each exhale you can get the elbow a little closer to the floor. Try closing your eyes as you take these next couple breaths. You're surfing the outer edges of the inhale. And this next inhale, you do normal. And then as you exhale, you keep exhaling. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Exhale, then slowly you start to inhale. Keep inhaling. Exhale, keep exhaling. Empty, 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 empty. Exhale a little bit more, and then you inhale slowly. Keep going, you can do it. Open the mouth, open the throat. 2, 1. Let's do one more together. Just so nice. Keep exhaling a little bit more, even more, and then inhale slowly. Keep inhaling. 3, keep inhaling. 2, oh my goodness. 1. One more breath. Hands slide under the shoulders. Instead of spinning around back, We're gonna actually take the legs in front. Scoot your body away from the wall so you have plenty space for your upper body. I don't want you hitting your head on the wall. And we're gonna lie over a block. I want the block to be pretty close, maybe the width of your hand, distance away from the hip. Lie all the way back. Oh yeah. Take your arms up overhead. Feel the body settle into lying over the block. Make sure your hips are on the floor. Hips don't come up when we lie over a block. It's preferable that you put your head on something higher than you let your hips come up. We're trying to get you to lengthen abdomen. So if you think of your pelvis, we're trying to keep your hips on the floor while the upper body hangs off of it in this other direction. And if you feel this very intensely in your back, that's only because you don't do this very often. And it does get better, I promise, but you have to do it. And it's great if you do these classes, and right now, because you can do them every day. And even if you did every one of our classes, it still matters. There's still more time spent out of class than in class. And so what you do in between classes, when you're not in class, makes a huge difference. Bend the knees, feet wide. Give ourselves a couple TikToks before we work on back bends and call it a day. Here we go. Paying attention, you're not rushing through any of this. Very good. Feet come all the way together. Again, your hips stay down. Right where the block is touching your back, you contract those muscles, and then you pick your feet up. And your job is to keep your feet up. Don't let your feet come down. And you're going to take your hands into a back bend position, or as close as you can get them to a back bend position. If you can't quite get your hands to a back bend and they're sort of wide, and it's okay. Just your job is to see what you can do, and then remember that, because as you get better, you want to be able to give yourself a high five when you come out of this stuff. So with the feet up, the hips down, you're going to push through the hands and see if you can get your upper back off of the block. So I'm squeezing my elbows together, and then you relax all the way down. We're going to do that 2 more times. So the hands are deep under the shoulders, as wide as the mat. I'm squeezing the elbows together, and then I push through the hands. Relax all the way down. 2 more times. Last one. I want you to remember this sensation that you're having right now. As you squeeze the elbows together, I'm crushing my palms into the floor. Feet are up, hips are down, and then you see if you can straighten your legs. 3, 2, 1. Set the feet down on the floor. Go ahead and get rid of the block just for a moment. Well, for the rest of class, but we're not done working just yet. Make a fist, roll your wrist, shake your hands out. And I want you to recreate. So you imagine you have a block underneath your back. So I push my hips into the floor, I arch my chest up, I contract the back, then I pick my feet up. Then you take your hands under the shoulders. Imagine you still have that block underneath the back. You squeeze your elbows in so my pinkies are off the edges of the mat. My hands are as deep as I can get under the shoulders. I squeeze the elbows and I push into the very first. This is the hardest part of a back bend. So if your head is glued to the floor, that just means there's more of these to do before you get your head up and your chest up. One more breath. Now, if you can, you keep your upper body up. Go ahead and set your feet on the floor, and then you push up into a back bend. One more breath. And then slowly start to come down. See if you can touch your hips down before the upper body. And you come out of that. Shake the hands out. With the feet wide, you tick-tock the knees. Make a fist, roll your wrists. Here we go. Spread your hands wide. And then relax your legs all the way out. Arms are out. Take the next 30 seconds to relax. Let gravity win. There is no need for muscular tension in your body right now. You relax your jaw and your eyes, your forehead. Now you bring your attention to the chest and feel the rib cage move as you inhale. This last breath, you savor it. And then one more time, we start to wiggle, exploring the range of motion of our ankles and our wrists. Spread the toes, spread the fingies. Give them a nice little wigglies. And then last time, knees come to flat, and as wide as you tick-tock. Reach your arms up over your head with the shoulders down away from the ears as you stretch. And then we keep the shoulders down as you take your arms back to neutral. We push all the way up to standing, taking your time as you come up, especially if you feel lightheaded, you just tick-tock. Oh, here we go. Yay. Don't ever ignore lightheadedness. If it doesn't dissipate, you take your head below the heart. And now for our final bad waiter together. Palms face up. Try to point your thumbs to the floor. As the wrists reach apart, you kick the elbows forward. Head reaches away from your body as the shoulders try to slide even further down the back toward your pockets, your back pockets. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, you close your eyes, relax your arms down. Check in. Feel your feet and your hands. One more breath. And as you exhale, open your eyes. You're lovely to be with. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, send us a message. And look forward to seeing you. Tonight's class is at 7:30, medium depth class, if you're up for a challenge. Till then, or till I see you again, self high fives. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be with you. See you next time. Bye.